Have you ever felt the crushing weight of empty pockets while your spirit somehow remains inexplicably hopeful? That strange paradox where your bank account tells one story, but your heart whispers another. There's a sacred moment that happens in that space between visible lack and invisible faith, a divine intersection where heaven's economy begins to move toward you in ways you never imagined possible. My friends, I want to talk to you today about something that's happening right now in the spiritual realm for many of you watching. There's a shift occurring, a repositioning of heavenly resources with your name written on them. Has this ever happened to you? That unexplainable feeling that something good is about to break through, even when every logical indicator suggests otherwise. Stay with me until the end of this message, because what I'm about to share isn't just motivational speaking, it's spiritual reality that's unfolding for believers who understand the principles of divine timing and supernatural provision. The world operates on systems, structures, and limitations, but God, He operates beyond those boundaries. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. You see, when heaven decides, it's your season for financial breakthrough. It doesn't check your credit score first. Divine provision doesn't require approval from your boss, your bank, or the economic experts on television. The supernatural flow of abundance that God has designated for your life can bypass every human obstacle, every closed door, every no that's been spoken over your situation. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because we've been conditioned to believe that money only comes through certain channels at certain times through certain people. But I'm here to tell you that God's provision operates outside of those limitations. He can create streams in the desert, opportunities where none existed, and open doors that no human could have engineered. Right now, as you're watching this, divine alignments are taking place. People who don't even know you are being positioned to become vessels of blessing in your life. Opportunities that seem dead are being resurrected. Resources that appeared depleted are being multiplied. There's a supernatural orchestration happening beyond what your natural eyes can perceive. The question isn't whether God wants to bless you financially. The question is whether you're positioned spiritually to receive what He's already released. There's a difference between what's been declared in heaven and what manifests on earth. And that difference is often found in our capacity to recognize, receive, and steward divine provision. I want you to imagine, for a moment, what would happen if the financial barriers you're facing suddenly dissolved. What would it feel like to move from survival to abundance, from barely making it to overflowing with enough to bless others? That transition isn't just a fantasy. It's the divine inheritance that belongs to those who understand how spiritual laws govern material provision. Subscribe now to receive more powerful revelations about divine provision and supernatural breakthrough. Join our community of believers who are positioned for heaven's abundance and kingdom purpose. The spiritual journey of financial transformation rarely follows a linear path. In fact, what appears to be your most barren season often serves as the fertile ground where your greatest abundance is taking root. I've discovered this hidden truth through my own walk and through witnessing countless testimonies. The season of lack is actually the prelude to overflow. Think about it. Have you noticed how your bills seem to multiply precisely when your income shrinks? How responsibilities increase exactly when resources feel most limited? This isn't coincidence. It's a divine pattern. What looks like a setup for failure is actually a setup for supernatural provision. The very pressure you feel is creating the perfect conditions for a miracle. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic of divine timing. There's a sacred rhythm to provision that operates beyond our human schedules and expectations. Sometimes, heaven withholds immediate answers, not because your prayers haven't been heard, but because something greater is being developed within you. Trust is being forged. Faith is being strengthened. Character is being refined. The mindset shift happens when we begin to understand that delays aren't denials, they're divine positioning. In the unseen realm, resources with your name on them are already in motion. The funds you need, the opportunities you've been praying for, the breakthrough you've been waiting for, they're being orchestrated with perfect precision, moving toward you at exactly the right pace. This revelation transforms how we navigate seasons of waiting. Instead of seeing empty bank accounts as evidence of abandonment, we recognize them as the canvas on which God is about to paint his faithfulness. The journey through financial drought isn't punishment, it's preparation. Behind the scenes of your struggle, a heavenly coordination is taking place. People are being positioned. Circumstances are being aligned. Resources are being released. And at the appointed time, not a moment too soon or too late, the floodgates will open. The same hands that have been empty will suddenly hold abundance. What makes this spiritual principle so powerful is its impact on our present peace. When you understand that divine timing governs provision, you can rest even in the midst of apparent scarcity. You can make decisions from a place of confidence rather than desperation. You can walk with dignity even when your wallet suggests otherwise. Remember that in the natural world, the darkest hour comes just before dawn. In the spiritual realm, the most severe drought often precedes the most abundant rainfall. Your increase in need isn't a sign of abandonment. It's a signal that multiplication is on the horizon. The decisions you make in this waiting period matter profoundly. Will you allow anxiety to rule your thoughts, or will you anchor yourself in the promise of coming provision? Will you speak the language of lack, or will you declare abundance even while your eyes still see emptiness? Type, "My overflow is coming" in the comments if you're sensing that you're positioned for this divine shift from scarcity to abundance in your life. There's a profound paradigm shift that happens when you begin to understand how heaven's economy operates. You see, in the natural world, we're bound by systems. We can only spend what we have, receive what we've earned, and access what already exists. But God's economy functions on entirely different principles. He doesn't just redistribute existing resources, he creates something from nothing. He doesn't just work within systems, he invents new ones. This revelation completely transforms your financial mindset. When you grasp that God supplies needs according to his glory, not according to human limitations, you stop seeing your current circumstances as the boundary of what's possible. The breakthrough you're seeking may not come through the channels you're watching. It might emerge from a source that doesn't even exist yet in your visible reality. Faith becomes the currency that activates this supernatural economy. It's not just positive thinking. It's spiritual power that interfaces with divine resources. Your belief creates a pathway through which provision can flow. This is why many people remain trapped in cycles of lack. They're calculating miracles instead of believing for them. They're trying to figure out how God could possibly provide rather than trusting that he will. The hidden truth behind every great testimony of provision is this: someone chose to believe beyond what they could see. They made the decision to stand in faith when everything around them suggested defeat. Your declarations become the architects of your destiny. When your mouth speaks abundance while your eyes still see emptiness, you're participating in the creative process that brings invisible resources into visible manifestation. Consider this journey of faith like a magnetic field. Unshakable confidence in God's provision creates a spiritual magnetism that attracts resources to your life. It opens portals, yes, actual gateways in the spirit realm, through which blessings can flow. These aren't mystical fantasies, they're spiritual realities that impact your everyday existence. What's fascinating about this process is how it rewires your internal narrative. Instead of waking up to thoughts of, how will I make it? You rise with declarations of God will provide. Rather than staring at closed doors in despair, you confidently affirm, another door is opening. When faced with impossible situations, your automatic response becomes, nothing is impossible with God. Behind the scenes of this faith journey is a profound inner transformation. You're not just changing your circumstances, you're being rebuilt from the inside out. The person who emerges from this process doesn't just have more resources, they have a completely different relationship with provision. They've moved from dependence on visible systems to confidence in invisible supply. Let me ask you this. What would change in your life if you truly believed that God could create solutions that don't currently exist? How would your stress levels shift if you genuinely trusted that provision was already in motion toward you? The peace that comes from this revelation is perhaps even more valuable than the provision itself. A drop faith activates abundance in the comments if you're ready to stop calculating miracles and start believing for them in your life. Here's something profound I've discovered about God's restoration process. It never operates on a one-to-one ratio. When heaven moves to restore what was lost in your life, it doesn't simply replace, it multiplies. This revelation completely transforms how we view our setbacks and losses. That job you lost, that business that failed, that investment that didn't pan out. These aren't just painful endings, they're the setup for supernatural multiplication. The divine blueprint for restoration follows a pattern we see throughout Scripture and throughout the testimonies of countless believers. One door closes, and 10 new ones swing open. One stream dries up, and multiple rivers begin to flow. This isn't exaggeration or wishful thinking. It's the fundamental nature of divine abundance. God doesn't restore to simply maintain your previous level. He restores to expand your capacity and amplify your impact. This multiplication mindset changes everything about how you navigate loss. Instead of becoming bitter when opportunities disappear, you become expectant for the multiple doors that are now preparing to open. The journey through disappointment becomes an adventure of anticipation when you understand this principle of supernatural expansion. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring how this divine provision actually manifests in your everyday life. One of the most limiting beliefs we hold is that financial blessing only comes through conventional channels, a paycheck, a business profit, an inheritance. But the revelation that's transformed my own journey is recognizing that God's provision often arrives in unexpected packages. Divine resources might manifest as a sudden creative idea that turns into profitable innovation. It might appear as a delayed payment that finally processes at precisely the moment you need it. Most, it could come through an unexpected person who feels inexplicably compelled to help you. The breakthrough might arrive as a refund you forgot about, an opportunity you weren't looking for, or a connection you never pursued. Behind the scenes of these coincidences is a divine orchestration that's been set in motion. What looks like lucky timing is actually supernatural coordination. What feels like random good fortune is actually strategic blessing. The hidden truth is that heaven is continuously arranging circumstances, influencing minds, and directing resources toward you through an intricate choreography you rarely see. This revelation should transform your awareness. Instead of limiting your expectations to obvious channels, you begin to walk with spiritual sensitivity, recognizing that provision can appear in countless forms. The mindset shift is powerful. You're no longer waiting for just one door to open. You're expectantly watching for blessing to arrive through multiple avenues simultaneously. Your ability to recognize these diverse forms of provision directly impacts your capacity to receive them. Many miss their breakthrough simply because it didn't look the way they expected. The question becomes, are you limiting God's methods of blessing you by your narrow expectations? If you've experienced unexpected provision that came in a form you never anticipated, type "divine surprise" in the comments. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. One of the most challenging aspects of the spiritual journey is navigating the seasons of apparent silence. Those moments when you're praying, working, sacrificing, and yet nothing seems to change. The bills remain unpaid, the opportunities don't materialize, and heaven seems oddly quiet. I want to share a revelation that has anchored me through my own wilderness seasons. God's silence is never his absence. In the unseen realm, during what appears to be divine inactivity, an intricate orchestration is actually unfolding, like a master conductor arranging every instrument before the symphony begins. God is aligning connections, preparing conditions, and positioning circumstances for your breakthrough. The silence isn't neglect, it's strategic preparation. The waiting isn't punishment, it's purposeful positioning. This behind-the-scenes work often remains invisible until its completion. Think about how a movie is made: months of preparation, countless hours of filming, and extensive editing happen before you see the final product. In the same way, your breakthrough is being meticulously crafted long before you ever experience it. What feels like being forgotten is actually being focused on with divine attention to detail. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing why the waiting season is actually a gift, not just a test. There's a profound wisdom in heaven's timing. God never releases what you're not prepared to manage. The delay in manifestation is often directly connected to your development process. While waiting for the resources, you're being reshaped to handle them properly. Consider this mindset shift. What if the waiting isn't about the provision being prepared, but about you being prepared for the provision? Financial abundance without character development quickly becomes a curse rather than a blessing. We've all seen the stories of lottery winners who end up worse off because sudden wealth without wisdom leads to devastating consequences. The journey of preparation involves learning stewardship principles, developing discipline, cultivating wisdom, and establishing proper priorities. It's a holistic transformation that ensures when unexpected funds finally locate you, you possess the capacity to sustain them, multiply them, and purpose them beyond your personal benefit. The development of your character must precede the deployment of your resources. This revelation changes how you experience the waiting room. Instead of seeing it as a holding pattern of frustration, you recognize it as a classroom of preparation. Every challenge becomes a lesson, every delay becomes development, and every disappointment becomes divine redirection. The hidden truth is that your capacity must expand before your resources do. Behind every overnight success story is usually years of unseen preparation. What looks like sudden favor to outside observers is actually the culmination of a lengthy development process. This understanding brings dignity to your current struggle. You're not being punished, you're being prepared, you're not being overlooked, you're being equipped for something greater than you've imagined. If this revelation about divine preparation resonates with your current season, type "being prepared" in the comments. Sometimes simply naming your season helps you navigate it with greater purpose and peace. There's a profound revelation that completely transforms how we view financial blessing. Divine provision is never just about personal comfort. When God releases resources into your life, there's always a greater purpose attached to that blessing. A purpose that extends far beyond your own needs and desires. This shifts the entire paradigm from "what can I receive?" to "through me, what can God give to others?" You're entering a season where provision won't just change your circumstances, it will become your testimony. The very places in your life where you once shed tears of lack will become the overflow points of abundance. But here's the revolutionary mindset shift, that overflow isn't meant to pool around you, it's designed to flow through you. You're being positioned as a channel, not just a container. Think about the impact of this revelation on your relationship with money. Instead of seeing wealth as something to accumulate, you begin to view it as something to circulate. The transformation happens internally first. Your heart expands beyond self-preservation to kingdom distribution. You become a steward rather than an owner, a river rather than a reservoir. Behind this principle is a divine strategy. God entrusts resources to those who will extend his reach through generosity. The hidden truth that many miss is that your capacity to receive is directly proportional to your willingness to give. When heaven sees that blessing doesn't stop with you, but flows through you, the supply lines remain open. This creates a continuous cycle of receiving, and releasing that sustains supernatural provision. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing one of the most powerful catalysts for divine provision: gratitude. There's a spiritual principle at work here that transcends positive thinking. A grateful heart literally attracts miracles. The journey toward abundance begins with thanksgiving for what you already have, even when it appears insufficient. Many believers block their own blessings through a pattern of complaint. They focus intensely on what hasn't arrived, what isn't working, what remains lacking. And this negative focus creates spiritual resistance in the very channels through which provision would flow. The mindset shift required is simple yet profound. Stop complaining about what hasn't come and start thanking God for what's on the way. Every expression of gratitude creates spiritual vibrations that resonate with and attract additional blessings. It's like dropping a stone in water. The ripples extend outward, touching realms you cannot see. This isn't mystical thinking, it's spiritual reality. Gratitude is faith in action. It's believing in the goodness of God before that goodness becomes visible. It's declaring thank you while your hands are still empty. Doubt, on the other hand, functions as a dam in the river of divine flow. It creates blockages through disbelief, complaint, and negative confession. The decisions you make about your words matter profoundly. They either create pathways or barriers. For provision, choose to speak gratitude, even when circumstances suggest complaint, and you'll witness how thanksgiving becomes the soundtrack of your breakthrough. If you've noticed this connection between gratitude and increased blessing in your own life, type "grateful heart" in the comments. Your testimony of thankfulness might spark someone else's breakthrough today. One of the most overlooked aspects of supernatural provision is the importance of spiritual sensitivity. In this journey toward financial breakthrough, developing a keen awareness of divine signals becomes essential. God rarely shouts his instructions, he whispers them. The transformation happens when you learn to quiet external noise and attune your spiritual ears to those subtle promptings that lead to provision. These divine signals might come as a seemingly random idea that flashes through your mind. It could be an unexpected nudge to reach out to someone you haven't spoken with in years. Perhaps it's a persistent thought about exploring a new skill or serving in a particular area. The revelation that's changed my own journey is recognizing that these aren't just random thoughts. They're divine instructions that often lead directly to provision. The hidden truth is that sometimes the smallest act of obedience unlocks the largest blessing. What appears to be an insignificant step, a conversation, a small service, a simple gesture, might actually be the key that opens the door to unexpected funds. This is why spiritual discernment becomes so critical in the pursuit of provision. Many miss their breakthrough simply because they overlooked the seemingly minor instruction that would have led them directly to it. Your path is already filled with divine appointments, strategic encounters orchestrated in the unseen realm before you ever experience them in the natural world. That chance meeting wasn't random. That unexpected invitation wasn't coincidental. Behind the curtain of visible reality, a divine choreography is unfolding. Even the doors that closed in your face weren't failures. They were loving redirections towards something better. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by exploring the profound purpose attached to your provision. The breakthrough you're seeking isn't just about relieving financial pressure, it's about fueling divine destiny. When God releases unexpected funds into your life, there's always a greater purpose woven into that provision. These resources aren't random windfalls, they're purposeful investments into your calling. The revelation that transforms your relationship with money is understanding that these funds will support your vision, finance your purpose, and manifest aspects of your destiny that remain dormant without proper resourcing. This shifts your entire perspective from "I need money to survive" to "I need provision to fulfill my assignment." The impact of this mindset renovation reaches far beyond your bank account. It touches the very core of your identity and purpose. When unexpected funds finally arrive, the way you receive them matters profoundly. Many believers sabotage their own blessing by questioning whether they deserve it, apologizing for it, or minimizing it. The spiritual posture that honors divine provision is bold, confident reception, not arrogance, but a quiet assurance that what God has released is meant for you to steward, not to question. If you've ever experienced that quiet nudge or seemingly random idea that later led to unexpected provision, type "divine signal" in the comments. These testimonies of spiritual sensitivity encourage all of us to pay closer attention to heaven's whispers. There's a revolutionary revelation about divine favor that completely dismantles our human understanding of qualification and approval. When God decides to favor you financially, He operates entirely outside the systems and structures that typically determine advancement in this world. This supernatural favor doesn't consult your resume, analyze your education level, or examine your social connections. The transformation happens when you realize that heaven's selection process has nothing to do with human protocols. Divine release functions with a sovereign authority that transcends every barrier, silences every critic, and overrides every system designed to keep you contained. Think about the implications of this truth in your life right now. The very circumstances or limitations that people have used to discount you become irrelevant in the face of divine favor. Your background, your mistakes, your lack of connections, none of these can block what God has determined to release toward you. The journey of supernatural provision often includes this profound reversal. The same people who once looked down on you will eventually look up to you, not because you've suddenly become more impressive in your own strength, but because the hand of God has visibly lifted you. The catalyst for this elevation isn't your human qualification, but divine selection. This revelation liberates you from the exhausting cycle of trying to prove yourself worthy of blessing. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by unveiling one of the most frequently missed aspects of supernatural provision. God's blessings often arrive disguised as challenges or wrapped in seemingly insignificant instructions. The breakthrough isn't always packaged the way we expect. Sometimes the door to abundance looks remarkably ordinary, even unappealing from the outside. Many believers miss their moment of increase because they're looking for provision in obvious places while overlooking the disguised opportunity right in front of them. That challenging situation might actually be concealing your next level. That simple instruction might be the key that unlocks unexpected funds. The hidden truth is that heaven's economy often operates through paradox. What appears insignificant in the natural, a realm may carry enormous significance in the spiritual. Divine connections that lead to provision frequently masquerade as casual encounters or random conversations. That chance meeting wasn't accidental. It was a divinely orchestrated appointment carrying the potential for breakthrough. The seemingly insignificant person might be the very vessel through whom your next blessing will flow. This is why spiritual discernment becomes so crucial on this journey. The packaging rarely reveals the value of what's inside. The mindset shift that produces results is learning to walk with heightened sensitivity to these disguised opportunities, developing spiritual perception that sees beyond the obvious and recognizes divine fingerprints on ordinary circumstances. The revelation that's transformed my own journey is this: opportunities rarely come wrapped in gold, with neon signs announcing their value. They come disguised as humble packages that only the spiritually discerning will recognize and unwrap. If you've ever experienced a blessing that came disguised as a challenge or through an unexpected source, type "hidden provision" in the comments. These testimonies remind us all to look beyond the obvious packaging of our opportunities. There's a profound spiritual principle that operates at the foundation of supernatural provision. Before any blessing ever manifests in your physical reality, it's first released in the spiritual realm. This revelation completely transforms how we understand the manifestation process. What you're believing for isn't something that needs to be created. It already exists. The challenge isn't getting God to release it. It's positioning yourself to receive what's already been released. Faith functions as the actual bridge between these two realms, the invisible and the visible, the spiritual and the material, the declared and the manifested. This isn't metaphorical language. It's spiritual reality. Your belief creates the pathway through which provision travels from the unseen into your tangible experience. The transformation of your mindset happens when you realize your faith isn't just positive thinking. It's the construction material building the bridge for your breakthrough. What's fascinating about this spiritual principle is how it operates. When you doubt, you literally weaken this bridge, creating instability in the manifestation process. But when you stand firm in belief, you strengthen it, making the transfer from spiritual to physical more efficient. The revelation that changed my journey was understanding that alignment matters. When your faith aligns precisely with God's promise, manifestation becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by revealing something revolutionary about the purpose behind financial increase in this season. God is actively raising up a generation of believers who will carry a financial anointing unlike anything we've seen before. But this anointing isn't for luxury or self-indulgence, it's for divine purpose and kingdom impact. The hidden truth is that heaven is looking for conduits, not just consumers. This emerging army of financially anointed believers will fund movements that transform culture, build dreams that seemed impossible, and systematically lift others from poverty through strategic investment and generosity. The revelation is that wealth in God's economy is always attached to accountability. The more He entrusts to you, the greater the responsibility to distribute it according to divine wisdom. What sets this generation apart is their uncommon integration of seemingly opposite qualities. They'll carry wealth with wisdom, prosperity with purity, and abundance with accountability. The journey toward this divine appointment requires a profound inner renovation, an identity transformation that allows you to hold significant resources without those resources holding you. Many can receive wealth, but few can remain unchanged by it. The decisions you make now about stewardship of small amounts directly impact your qualification for greater trust. Behind the scenes of this divine selection process, character is being evaluated more closely than capacity. God isn't primarily looking for skilled financial managers. He's seeking faithful stewards with pure motives and kingdom perspective. The breakthrough moment comes when your purpose for wanting increase shifts from personal elevation to kingdom advancement. If you sense God preparing you for this financial anointing to impact others rather than just yourself, type Kingdom Steward in the comments. Recognizing your purpose is the first step toward walking in this divine appointment. There's a profound mystery about prayer that most believers never fully grasp. When you pray, you're not actually informing God of needs He doesn't already know. The revelation that transforms your prayer life is understanding that its primary purpose isn't information, it's alignment. When you enter that sacred space of communion, something remarkable happens. Your spirit begins to synchronize with divine abundance. The hidden truth is that prayer repositions you spiritually to receive what heaven has already released. This spiritual alignment creates a catalyst for supernatural intervention. Prayer doesn't just change you, it literally activates forces in the unseen realm. Angels are dispatched, atmospheres shift, and gates that were previously locked swing open in response to faithful intercession. The journey toward financial breakthrough often accelerates dramatically when you understand that prayer isn't passive petition, it's active participation in the manifestation process. Every prayer offered in faith creates spiritual pathways through which blessings can navigate toward you. Like a divine GPS system, your prayers provide the coordinates that help heaven's resources locate you with precision. The mindset shift happens when you stop viewing prayer as merely religious activity and start recognizing it as strategic spiritual technology that interfaces with divine economy. What's particularly fascinating about this process is how God sometimes uses the most unexpected sources, even your critics, to finance your next chapter. The very people who opposed you, doubted you, or rejected your vision might become the unwilling vessels through whom your breakthrough arrives. This revelation showcases the divine mastery of turning opposition into opportunity, transforming obstacles into avenues for advancement. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic by unveiling what might be the most crucial principle in the manifestation of supernatural provision: expectation. The transformation begins when you position your heart, not just your mind, with genuine expectation for divine surprises, sudden favor, and doors opening without human assistance. This isn't wishful thinking, it's spiritual positioning that attracts manifestation. There's a divine law operating in the kingdom. God meets you at the level of your expectation. If you expect little, you receive little. If you expect mediocrity, mediocrity finds you. But when you elevate your expectations to align with heaven's abundance, you create a spiritual magnetism that draws greatness toward you. The breakthrough often begins not with changed circumstances, but with transformed expectations. Heaven is currently releasing financial miracles with specific names attached to them, and yours is among them. The seasonal shifts happening in the spiritual realm are creating unprecedented opportunities for divine provision to manifest in the lives of believers who are properly aligned. The revelation that brings comfort to those who've been waiting is this: nothing was wasted. Every prayer, every tear, every act of faith has been building momentum for this very season of divine supply. The cumulative effect of your spiritual persistence is about to become visible. Like water building pressure behind a dam before it finally breaks through, your consistent faith has been creating spiritual pressure that's about to result in dramatic breakthrough. The journey of transformation is reaching its culmination. From scarcity to abundance, from lack to overflow, from survival to significance. If you can sense this divine momentum building in your own life right now, type expectation rising in the comments, sometimes putting words to what you're feeling internally helps to crystallize your faith for what's coming. As we draw this journey to a close, I'm deeply grateful that you've stayed with me through these revelations about divine provision and supernatural abundance. The very fact that you've remained until this moment suggests that these words were meant specifically for you, that heaven orchestrated this divine appointment between us for your breakthrough. If this message has awakened something in your spirit, if you've felt that unmistakable resonance that comes when truth aligns with your current season, I'd be honored if you take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Each week we explore these profound spiritual principles that transform not just your finances, but your entire perspective on divine partnership. The community forming here is special, believers who are positioning themselves for supernatural provision while maintaining kingdom purpose. If you'd like to be part of that journey, simply hit subscribe and join us for these weekly revelations. And if this message specifically spoke to where you are right now, would you type divine timing in the comments? Sometimes, acknowledging when a message was divinely orchestrated for your season helps cement the truth in your spirit. Plus, your testimony might be exactly what another viewer needs to strengthen their own faith. If you found value in today's message, a simple like helps others discover these truths as well. It's a small gesture that expands the impact of these principles to those who are also positioning themselves for supernatural provision. I've prepared a message that directly complements what we've discussed today. It explores the specific actions that position you for divine wealth transfer. If you're ready to move from revelation to application, click the video appearing right now and continue this journey with me there. The principles we'll unpack will build beautifully on the foundation we've established today. Until we connect again, remember, you're not forgotten, you're not overlooked, and the provision with your name on it is already in motion. The question isn't if it will find you, but how ready you'll be when it arrives.